Hey everybody, it's your best friend Drew Tracy, longtime inker for DC, Marvel, etc., and writer of 3 novels that are on Amazon. The Demands, Book 2 B-Sides, Demands, and Demands, Book 3 Stage Dive. It's based on a Pittsburgh indie band that plays lots of clubs and bars owned by the Russian mob. Lainey, the lead character, she falls in love with one of the mobster's sons, and ugliness ensues. Curse words, violence, just rock and roll music, just coming of age type stuff. I think you'd like it. It's pretty cool. But earmuffs if you're going to read it loud in front of the kids. So, okay, let's get to a guy who writer shames me and most of everybody, the great Alan Moore. And no, he did not write this. This was something he read as a kid that kind of was one of the books that inspired him. He spoke of how Charlton distribution in the States was tricky enough, and but in Britain, where Moore is from, it was even more spotty. So he would get what he get. He would get like the Superman and the Batman, and even the little Lotta Dot or whatever those the other books were. And then he came across Charlton, but they weren't really for a lot of us when we got to the newsstands. We kind of ignored a lot of Charlton stuff too because it just wasn't. Superheroes were just kind of creeping and creeping and creeping into becoming the standard of comics that sold. Just straight science fiction. What is it? Westerns, which were prominent in the 50s, kind of faded away, and just tastes changed, and just a lot of basically superheroes creeped into all comics in one form or another. After 1970, I would argue that even though the comic code allowed vampires and werewolves and all that, DC did an awesome job on it. Marvel did a shitty job on it for the most part, with the exception of Tomb of Dracula. Books like Werewolf by Night and others were written like superhero titles. Like you'd have the same old sob story characters and that, and I guess also this Tales of the Living Mummy were kind of pretty good too. So I'm getting way off track. Okay, so Alan Moore's point was Charlton Premiere was sort of like what you got when you already had everything you saw in the stands that week, and I was like that too. I was just real snobby about this book. You're going to be really dazzled because a Charlton artist who pretty much was exclusive with Charlton, not by choice maybe, is Pat. Excuse me a second. Pat Boyette, who is a very idiosyncratic artist, incredible artist, but his style just does not. It didn't match anything current. He would have been a fantastic. Let me jump over this real quick, if you'll bear with me. He would have been a fantastic newspaper strip artist, and I cannot find that issue. It is right fucking here. Okay, got it. Okay, now I'm jumping ahead. This is a mature Pat Boyette style, and that's their host. I can't remember her name. And look at the eyes. He has this like sort of a Toth feel to it, but yet it's his own. I mean, I can actually see Mike Mignola looking at some of this stuff and saying, "Hey, this stuff is pretty engaging." His face is like just nobody on who's steadily doing comics had that sort of eeriness to it. And as a kid, I sneered at it. I was a dumb kid. I sneered at it like I sneered at when Ditko came back to Marvel, when Kirby came back to Marvel and everything. But I mean, even the lettering, it's got that Toth feel to it, I would wager, but it's different. It's not just Toth, and then the folds and the clothes, a sharp contrast in the black. That is, I don't know who did that cover. This was since it was 20 cents. I don't know. It seems like a younger guy might have done it. I'll have to look it up. Pretty cool. So, okay. I'm digressing upon digressing upon digressing. My whole point here is how this was just one of the many books that really got kind of fired up Alan Moore's imagination, really. Um, and he says in Comic Book Artist number 15 that basically he was interviewed by John B. Cook, who said, was Charlton at the bottom of the list for you? And he'd say, they'd vary, it would depend. Charlton would be at some points low on the list, but then there was this wonderful period where I later realized that when Dick Giordano was having a great deal of creative say in the Charlton books, that when they became very big high on my list. There's still one of the books, Charlton Premiere, sort of a showcase title, and I remember the second or third issue of that, there was this wonderful thing called Children of Doom by Pat Boyette. I screwed up. Okay, enough with my fake accent. He finishes to say, it was an incredibly sort of progressive piece of storytelling. He was obviously, I'd imagine, looking at artists like Steranko that were coming up and messing around with the form and sort of experimenting. Pat decided to pitch his own hat into the ring, apparently. Okay. I don't even think that sounds anything like Alan Moore, but I had to try, didn't I? I did, didn't I? Maybe not. Leave your comments below. Say what kind of jackass I sound like. Okay, let's get to it. I bought this for $2 at like the Atlanta Comic Convention about 10, 15 years ago. It was funny because Cully Hamner walked past me, saw me flipping through comics. She's like, you're such a geek. And I'm like, yep, I let my geek flag. And I'm holding this at the same time. And I'm like, he has no idea what I'm holding. It's so cool. So, you're going to find a variety of art with this. Turn the goddamn page, Drew. Okay. 1967 is when this came out. This is not a black and white comic, but there are uses of black and of grays to masterful effect to create this end of the world. And the black and white really fits that feel. It's... Dick is the editor. Sergio O'Shaughnessy is the author, who is also Denny O'Neil. That was his nom de plume or pen name or musée de gloire, and art by Pat Boyette. And there you see its actual color at the bottom. And they're not scrimping. See the okay, there's some kind of zipper tone. It's very hard to see, but that's okay. That's the beauty of these smelly old comics. Some duotone used, other things he used. So many things in this issue. And what was great about Charlton is sales were really not that important. They basically, my understanding was that they had the comics company to keep the presses running. Now, if you ever worked in a printing place before, they run 24/7 because you can't break them down, clean them up, and do all that. That would be hours. So, first there came, the firebombs. No, that's not true. Before the raging Holocaust, which burned away at the face of the planet, where there were endless arguments. We demand our rights. Those oral rights belong to my country. We will stop at nothing to possess them. You hear me? We'll let nothing stand in our way. So basically, everyone's talking about gearing up for nuclear war and atomic weapons, and the scientists have the answer. Gentlemen, here's our guarantee. No nation will ever again battle each other. This is a scale model of the Doomsday Machine. I don't understand. Already there are too many bombs. How want more help? I don't get this logic. The Doomsday bomb is much more than a mere bomb, my friends. This machine will be a global policeman, capable of administering dreadful punishment to those who violate international atomic law. And it's like, well, we already have detectors. So we have, but all they do is detect this Doomsday Machine acts. If someone sets off an atomic bomb, the machine will self-explode and will, with such force that the planet will be instantly destroyed. You mean everything too? Why, that's madness. Of course, such madness that no one would dare risk nuclear explosions, not even our government. Now, from my understanding, a lot of these other nations, as well as the states, they have bombs, and their A-bombs and our A-bombs, everybody else's A-bombs are sort of their own deterrent. I don't think they would need this machine, but I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna. It's just, they're all trying to checkmate each other. I guess that's the best way to put it. Anyway, so these guys, a second. Soon the terrible device was completed and installed. So there it is. Look at that. I love that. It's got zipatone, several zipatones, and white lettering over top of that. I mean, really ambitious for a third-rate company, as probably a fourth-rate company, because you had like Dell and you had all these other. You had what was it? Casper the Friendly Ghost and all that. So this was, and notice the lettering is falling off of the page from the bad printing, and they were notorious for that. They didn't really worry about. I would hate to have to recreate these for some high scale reprint, but it would be nice. So this one, what is it? This guy who is he's like a baron, or he has a nation of his own that he rules with an iron fist, and he says, "Don't you see? Our enemies use atomic bombs, but we've developed cosmic storm projectors. Thanks to Doomsday Machine, we have become the leading military power. We're launching an immediate attack to take advantage of the situation." So, meanwhile, minutes later, in a space capsule orbiting Earth, Joe, take a look at the scope and tell me I'm dreaming. And there is a... Give me that thing. Good Lord, 2 fireballs. They must be 300 miles across and still growing. I can't contact the Cape. It must be too much interference from the fireballs. So they hope to knock it into the ocean with a couple missiles. But wrong choice. It doesn't destroy the giant hot masses, but it dispels them. It's just shattering the giant ones, but I would say it dispels them. So fragments become an airborne inferno. Many die. It's just gripping artwork. And meanwhile, the bastard who started all this with the cosmic storms, the fire is blowing back to him, and his nation is basically 6 feet under, if not more. Heck, there's nothing left to do down there. I mean, the only been 2 men alive. These guys are still up in the spaceship. We got to find food and water. Let's go to Venus. Okay, I don't feel right. Yeah, the one guy gets survivor's guilt, and he goes, "Can it, Joe? We may not have the right, but I'm certain we have a duty to keep going no matter what." And so, meanwhile, back on Earth, some of the people become mutants. Like one guy says, "Sam, look, my fingers could just turn fire by thinking about it." And there were clairvoyants. Don't touch that stone. Why? There's a snake underneath. Look at that detail. I'm going to get a little closer. Look at all that going on there. Yeah, baby. I just had to linger on that because that's great. And he's totally having fun with this. I mean, it is Steranko style level experimentation. I'm sure, Steranko was the first. I'm pretty sure. But Pat was just like, hey. And what was great was Dick Giordano. He was pretty much a hands-off editor. He hired pros. And he didn't really look over people's shoulder and say, "Oh, you can't do this, can't do that." And except for the maybe arbitrary whims of the Comics Code, which was a controlling authority that was not an actual... it was not actually a government authority. Well, okay, Destination Venus. We're completely out of supplies. We gotta get down there or starve to death. Now here's another spread that's really great. Look at all that stuff in the foreground. Boyette's having a ball with this one. And like I said, the faces, it's not the mature version that we would see later, but everything else is just off the scale. So they go to Venus. They decide some food's good to eat, and I always wondered how that works. I don't know if we'd ever go to another company, another planet. Extra specs, that helps. They see this guy. Oh my God, he's melting away. Love that imagery. Look at that. That puts me in mind of Keith Giffen, something he would do when he was kind of cribbing Munoz in the 80s. But it's a guy who's sort of half there and sort of half not. I just love, look how random those blacks and the fades are on that. It's not something you can contrive. You have to just kind of inherently know how to make that look cool. Well, they set this wire to give him a mild shock. The melting man, because he disappeared and came back, and it turns out he's not a Venusian. He's from Earth. How, why is he all messed up? And how did he get here? Since you didn't take a sub. Bleh. Anyway, they're trying to think. What do we do? We thaw this guy out and ask him. We don't dare give him the opportunity to pull his disappearing act again. Let's get him on the ship. Excuse me. The extremely stinky pulp paper is starting to tickle my throat. Look at the lettering here. That's just beautiful. And again, it's just I'm sensing some Toth action here. Maybe he was looking at some and decided to do his own spin on it. So they decided to go back. This is beautiful. He must have had a good morgue file for something like this. A morgue file for you youngins was before Google and the internet, everything took over, where you would keep tons and tons of photo reference from every single magazine and book that you ever had. And if you needed to do a space capsule, if you were lucky, you had a issue of Scientific American to reference. But anyway, here's the thing. They're coming back and he goes, we used the last of our liquid fuel, so I'm going to blow the outer hull and switch on the atomic generator. And they do. And they go to land. Retro's firing. No, it's one of those atomic power jobs. Must not come down. Heck, there's a group of people down here, but they must be waving us off. They're probably too excited to see us. Oh no. You fools, you've doomed us all. Now see, these faces, again, they're very different. If you said Pat Boyette, I would have been really stumped. Because he liked to do like thin eyes and very thin features. Let me see. The ship settles slowly into the ground. The tubes belching nuclear flame. And it's like, it sets off that, scorched earth bomb that's going to take off and destroy the world. And instead of your heroes welcome, it's like, you murderers, you filthy murderers, let them alone, it's not their fault. Come again. And he goes, you want to explain what's going on? Can't you guess? It's so hard to read this. I mean, it's like I said, it's not my shitty focus. Your atomic engines activated Doomsday Machine. Good Lord. Of course, of all the stupid oversights. Stupid? I would say completely batshit, fucked up, moronic, stupid bastards who shouldn't have gotten past a D in the space cadet school. So, well, we can reach Mom. We need a few hours. That guy looks like a photo reference. He must be like a friend or associate or family or something. We don't know if it was triggered. Sarah Camere, and Sarah's a clairvoyant. And it would have been great if they called her clairvoyant, because there was a, what's his name? There was a Donovan song about Jennifer, Juniper, and then clairvoyant. So it was parodied on The Simpsons. So can you hear it too? They can tell, I can hear ticking. And this guy's like, Joe, we can get away in the ship for a big boom. There's no point dying too. He's like, shut up, you pussy. Anyone else is dead. There's no sense in our staying alive. Now this, wow. Drink it in, my friends. I may end up posting this on my Twitter or on my Facebook or somewhere, but that is some magnificent stuff going on there. I'm sure David Roach will get a kick out of it. He's always showing really great artists who do different styles of storytelling. Again, and look, the lettering is in different colors, just to let you know that, hey, they didn't run out of colored ink. So anyway, they're trying to find the bomb, or the Doomsday Machine, and this guy comes out. I love that face. And what it is it's that little melting guy that they brought on the ship, the discorporating guy who showed up a few pages back that was on Venus. And this is him flying through the air. I guess that's a hand, but it's so beautiful. It's like, it's just parts of him. It's very, I may be 100% full of shit, but who knows? Maybe the partial body melting or reassembling could have influenced the origin of Dr. Manhattan, where he, slowly rebuilt himself, even though he was based more on Captain Atom. I just wanted to throw that in there. And so he's like, I might be able to disable the machine. This is the melting guy, by the way. First time we see him intact. It cannot be done. I have just come from the machine. I could not touch it because of his powers, and that's some beautiful stuff there. That is some beautiful stuff. So he can't reach a switch, or he'll be incinerated, even though he's quasi-ghost-like. I guess he has some form of tangibility. And so they're like, well, here we're waiting, nothing to do. Again, go to like a real stark black and gray. So he decides, they come to the assumption that this guy's powers, this melting away power, has something to do with space and time. So he goes back in time, and look at that. It's not Ditko, it's not Steranko, it's not Toth, it is Pat Boyette. I mean, I would love to have seen him pursue more supernatural type stuff like this. Even taking over Doctor Strange, something like that. That'd have been cool. I would have loved that. Because he just has that eeriness about him. And so he's going through... When you fly through a storm, keep your head up high. Okay. Now, well, he goes back in time. They're about to set up the bomb, or the bomb to end all bombs. Boop, 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 boop. Just a twist. Get away from there. Who are you talking to? Gee, the bomb must be getting to me. I don't know. And our friend flies back. Another beautiful visual. He reverses time to an extent. But so he did stop that machine, but there's still the damage from all the cobalt blast air that dictator had sent off. So the Earth is saved. That blast of Doomsday Machine will just lay there till it rusts away. And no, we must never touch it. We never think of it. Our task is to build a new world, a world without weapons of war. What he says is true. We were saved once, but if another bomb is built, we may not have a second chance. And how grim is that? For just your kid picking it up on a stands, you're expecting like slam pow action, even the action heroes. Maybe after seeing this very issue, he looked at the next page and said, I like them. And sowed the seeds for Watchmen many years later. The other thing that's interesting about this was, as far as the subject matter, it wasn't groundbreaking in entertainment per se. After when the Cold War was really heating up, and you had the 50s fold into the 60s, you had TV shows like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, that dealt with this sort of stuff, like end of the world stuff. So, and those shows were hits. I mean, they lasted quite a while. So, it seemed like the public could handle that sort of stuff. And also, before the dreaded Comics Code Authority came along, EC Comics did it in the 50s, and they did it spectacularly with the likes of Ghastly Graham Ingalls, Wally Wood, everybody. So anyway, this, I thought, when I only bought this because I had read this in this Alan Moore interview, and it's really great stuff. And I really recommend it. It's probably dirt cheap. And what's funny is, as Charlton was wont to do, it's cheap to just reprint the whole thing. Now, in Space War number 32, okay. They also reprinted some Ditko stories in a Space War issue. Now, this one, they fully colored, which really kind of takes the... I had that in my locker when I was, We Slip Up a Lad. Cheryl Teagues. So, I mean, the color, it's serviceable, but it really takes the bite out of everything. It really does. And it's a shame. I mean, that first panel, that's fine. And the lettering is more legible. But, like that is so less effective by having a variety of colors rather than just committing to... And all this. I mean, it just... it's not as dynamic. You sort of, the face is not that a great a face, and when it was all in red, it obscured. Sometimes I miss working on pulp paper because it's very forgiving, and this, you know, the snake is great, but look, all the detail we're missing now, and that's, it's not as gloomy, and in fact, it's more confusing to look at, and that doesn't look as sinister because they made his eyes blue, didn't give any irises, so I'll try and zip through this. I'm just bullshitting like a mile a minute. Oh, there's now the melted guy's pretty cool and all, you know, still cool, and that's, it was, this section was colored as well. Then everybody gets on. Like, oh, of course, of all stupid oversights. I don't know what they were thinking at that time. They bitch slaps that guy again. Well, actually, just punched him. Here they commit a little bit to the zipatone, but you know, I mean, I like it with, if you're gonna something with zipatone, a monotone like this over aside it is good. That works, you know. So, oh, big old bite taken out of this issue. I bought it this way. I guess it was just like mice or something. I don't know, some kind of vermin, but it's okay. I'll live. Still some beautiful stuff going on. They actually kept some of these. They kept black and white, and this is really screwball. I mean, I don't. And without anything in the back, it just adds. You know, it doesn't have that same punch, but anyway, I really recommend Charlton Premiere, Children of Doom. I don't know how many issues of Charlton Premiere they were. It was a rotating series. First one had like 3 characters, like oh shit, I got it right here. Why should I not show you what I've talked about all this time? Oof, hang in there, everybody. I'm still talking. Yes, indeed, I'm talking. Let's see, Charlton. Okay, this should be in. All right. I've just recently alphabetized some of my books, and some of them just I ain't got it. Oh well. So, not the end of the world, but not the end of the world. Yeah, get it? Okay. Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and a young Alan Moore, young impressionable Alan Moore, really took a liking to this, and I just thought that was so cool, and I wanted to share it. And when I got it, I could see, if I was reading this as a kid, I mean, I'd be like, I'd leave the light on all night, you know. That's it, everybody. And remember, buy these books, please, if you can. You know, support an independent author, exclusive on Amazon. Anyway, I'll be back. I'll try not to make the video so long. I know I babble and babble and babble, but hopefully you like my babble. Bye.